Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Nitin Joshi, Professor Neurology with teaching experience of 25 years working as consultant neurosurgeon in Panvel. Today we will see one question: Goldblatt's two kidney, one clip model of renovascular hypertension. Goldblatt performed a classic experiment on dogs to test whether or not renal ischemia is an inciting event in pathogenesis of hypertension of renal origin. With his studies, two models came into existence related to hypertension of renal origin. First, two kidney hypertension model, where of the two kidneys, one artery is clipped while the second artery is kept unclipped. This is two kidney, one clip model, and it resembles the renovascular hypertension of human being, which is also called as vasoconstrictive hypertensive model. While second is one kidney, one clip model. In this, one kidney is removed, only one kidney is kept, and that kidney is its artery is clipped. Now we'll see this two kidney, one clip renovascular hypertension model. In this, one artery is clipped. So artificially you have induced the renal artery stenosis. Beyond the stenosis, there will be hypoperfusion resulting into stimulation of the JG cells of JG apparatus, resulting into increased synthesis and release of renin, and hence there will be increased renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. This angiotensin 2 locally will be effective because preferential vasoconstriction of the efferent arteriole is responsible for maintenance of glomerular filtration rate. But angiotensin 2 has got the systemic actions which control the blood pressure, and these two actions are vasoconstrictive action and volume expansion action directly or indirectly. The first action is vasoconstrictive action of angiotensin directly or indirectly. Directly, that is, angiotensin 2 is a potent vasoconstrictor and it mainly acts on the vascular smooth muscle of the arterioles, causing constriction of arterioles and hence increased peripheral resistance. Indirectly, angiotensin act on the hypothalamic sympathetic nuclei, causing increased stimulation of the sympathetic nuclei present in the vasomotor center of medulla oblongata, which in turn results into stimulation of postganglionic sympathetic nerve endings, causing release of noradrenaline. Noradrenaline acts on the alpha-1 adenoreceptors of vascular smooth muscle, causing generalized vasoconstriction. Overall effect of direct and indirect is vasoconstriction, increased peripheral resistance, and blood pressure is equal to peripheral resistance into cardiac output. The second action of angiotensin 2 is volume expansion action. Because of the volume expansion action, there will be increased blood volume, hence increased venous return, hence increased stroke output, and hence increased blood pressure. Now this volume expansion action is also brought about by direct action and indirect action acting on the two target organs, and that is kidney and brain. The first organ is kidney, where direct action is on proximal convoluted tubule, where angiotensin 2 stimulates reabsorption of sodium, while indirectly, because angiotensin 2 stimulates zona glomerulosa of adrenal cortex, causing release of aldosterone, which acts on the proximal part of the distal convoluted tubule, causing sodium reabsorption. Second target organ is the brain, where the angiotensin 2 stimulates one, that is the hypothalamic thirst receptors responsible for increased conscious desire for water intake, while the second is the stimulation of supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei. This results into increased synthesis and release of vasopressin 2. Now the vasopressin hormone or antidiuretic hormone acts on the vasopressin 2 receptors present principally on the principal cells of the collecting tubule and duct and partly on the distal part of the distal convoluted tubule, causing increased facultative reabsorption of water. Overall effect will be increased water intake and increased facultative reabsorption of water and hence increased extracellular fluid volume. Overall effect is increased extracellular fluid, increased blood volume, increased blood pressure. Because of increased blood volume, there will be stretch on the right atrium, causing synthesis and release of atrial natriuretic peptide. Now in this acute phase, When there is increased extracellular fluid, increased blood volume, increased blood pressure, the opposite kidney, which is normally perfused, normally performing the kidney functions, it is exposed to increased extracellular fluid, increased blood volume, increased blood pressure, and increased angiotensin 2 as well as increased atrial natriuretic peptide. This atrial natriuretic peptide is responsible for dilatation of the afferent arteriole, causing increased renal blood flow. Also, because of increased blood volume and increased blood pressure, there is increased renal blood flow. Overall effect, on the contralateral side, there will be increased glomerular filtration rate because of increased effective filtration pressure. So there is increased formation of glomerular filtrate. So there will be increased load of sodium chloride presented to the macula densa, which is a chemosensor. Chemosensor detects change in the chemical composition of tubular fluid, resulting into sending the inhibitory input from the macula densa via the tubuloglomerular feedback mechanism via extraglomerular mesangial cells to JG cells, causing inhibition of JG cells. Also, increased blood volume, increased blood pressure directly inhibit the JG cells. Thus, on the contralateral normally functioning, normally perfused kidney, there is inhibition of renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. But there is increased level of atrial natriuretic peptide, and so the normally perfused kidney is responsible for natriuresis and diuresis, that is excess salt and water retained by the kidney which is clipped, that whatever excess water, excess salt will be excreted by contralateral normal perfused, normally functioning kidney, and there will be natriuresis and diuresis. This will continue till the systemic blood volume, systemic extracellular fluid volume as well as blood pressure come back to normal. So in acute phase, since the extracellular fluid, extracellular then blood volume, BP maintains normal level, as a result there is no negative feedback mechanism to the artery which is clipped, that is on the stenotic artery or the stenotic kidney there will be continuous stimulation, and so in the stenotic kidney there is continuous stimulation of JJ apparatus, continuous stimulation of renin synthesis as well as release of angiotensin 2, and so in acute phase the hypertension is renin dependent, angiotensin 2 dependent, in short RAS dependent. So in acute phase it can be managed by unclipping the clipped vessel in clinical practice, that is one, that is blocking the synthesis of angiotensin 2 by angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, or blocking the action of angiotensin 2 by angiotensin receptor blockers like losartan potassium or telmisartan, or surgically by angioplasty with or without stenting. However, as it progresses from acute to chronic phase, then the pathology becomes such that it is less renin, angiotensin, aldosterone dependent. Also, the blood pressure becomes fixed. As a result, even if you relieve the obstruction by the angioplasty with or without stenting, or prevent the action of angiotensin 2 by blocking the angiotensin receptor blocker, or preventing the formation of angiotensin by angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, there will be no effect. How it happens? This is because in the acute phase there is synthesis of angiotensin 2. This angiotensin 2 has got action on zona glomerulosa, causing increased synthesis and release of aldosterone. Now, increased level of angiotensin 2 and aldosterone has got action on the pathological kidney, that is clipped kidney, as well as opposite normally perfused, normally functioning, as well as systemically. So the angiotensin 2 as well as aldosterone has got effect on the pathological kidney, normal kidney, as well as systemically. Now, and aldosterone is responsible for fibrosis because of three actions, and these fibrotic actions will be on the pathological kidney, normal kidney, as well as systemically. The three actions are: one, responsible for increased synthesis of reactive oxygen species causing oxidative stress; second, upregulation of transforming growth factor beta; and third, direct action of aldosterone on the corticoid receptor present in the vascular smooth muscle causing vascular fibrosis. While angiotensin 2 also has got action on the pathological clipped kidney as well as unclipped kidney as well as systemically. Whenever there is increased angiotensin 2, there will be upregulation of certain cytokines and certain growth factors like transforming growth factor and fibroblast growth factor. In response to these cytokines and growth factor, action is on the pathological kidney, normal kidney as well as systemically. In the pathological kidney and in normal kidney, it has got actions on the mesangial cells. There are two types of mesangial cells, and that is the glomerular mesangial cells and extraglomerular mesangial cells. Now the glomerular mesangial cells are normally responsible for support of the capillary loop, but we have seen that glomerular filtration rate is equal to the effective filtration pressure into Kf. Kf, that is filtration coefficient of glomerular membrane. But this Kf depends upon two factors, and that is surface area or volume of capillary loops, and second, that is permeability of the glomerular membrane. The hypertrophy and hyperplasia, which is due to the cytokines and the growth factors expressed by the angiotensin 2, both factors will be affected. That is, because of these cytokines and growth factors, there is hypertrophy and hyperplasia of mesangial cells, which will be responsible for distortion of the capillary loops, causing decreased surface area, hence decreased filtration coefficient, hence decreased GFR. Also, there will be increased synthesis and deposition of extracellular matrix by the mesangial cells, but there will be increased expression of transforming growth factor by aldosterone as well as angiotensin 2. The MMPs, which are the enzymes, will get inhibited because of increased transforming growth factor beta. Transforming growth factor beta is responsible for decreased level of MMPs, which are the enzymes responsible for degradation of extracellular matrix. MMPs means matrix metalloproteinases. So overall effect is increased deposition with decreased degradation of extracellular matrix in the glomerular membrane. Overall effect, decreased capillary permeability, hence decreased filtration coefficient and hence decreased glomerular filtration rate. Also, mesangial cell is responsible for increased synthesis and deposition of collagen, causing more and more glomerulosclerosis. And glomerulosclerosis itself is responsible for uncontrolled hypertension. Also, because of aldosterone and angiotensin 2, there is hypertrophy and hyperplasia of vascular tissue as well as hypertrophy and hyperplasia of cardiac tissue. Overall effect, the blood pressure becomes fixed, which is not renin dependent, and so in a chronic state, the offending lesion, even if you relieve by angioplasty with or without stenting, or prevent the synthesis of the angiotensin 2 by angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, or block the action of angiotensin 2 by angiotensin receptor blocker, is not effective. And so in early stage, early diagnosis or prompt diagnosis by captopril renogram, so as to diagnose the renovascular hypertension in early phase or acute phase, is of paramount importance. Thank you very much.